Well, Vince, your hair looks like this or that. Your beard hair looks different than your normal hair. Big dog, what hair do you want to see next? My pubic hair? That's gay. Thanks for the 5 gifted. Thanks for the 10 gifted. If you give me 50 gifted, I'll do a blowjob symbol because I'm gay. Judge, I have been called by God to ungay the universe. And if you don't like my message, you can unfollow and pick up a fucking Bible. I mean, listen, to be a full-grown adult male and claim that you have depression and it's some foreign mental illness that you have no control over and not a sign that you're currently unhappy is gay. You're sitting here telling me, well, Vince, you don't get me, bro. Vince, you don't get my mind. It's like, what I do get is if I was as fat and as broke as you were, I'd be depressed and want to kill myself too. How does this feel? How does this feel? Good, daddy. It's like, big dog, what the fuck are you doing? Well, Vince, I just like how it sounds, bro. Suicide. It's like, you wonder why you want to kill yourself. Big dog, you are what you eat, not just with food, but with music too.
Well, guys, it looks like that we are back here yet again with the only alpha male in the AMU to have an entire pubic bush on his forehead that is always just unusually wet. The pubinator himself, good old Vincent Fischer. And the last time we covered this downright goober, we basically sat back and watched him dealing with a brand new lawsuit, which at first he very quickly tried to deny, before then, for some reason, getting mad about this apparent non-existing lawsuit and going on multiple different little tangents and rants, and was basically just throwing a little bitch fit about it. And it seems that this brand new lawsuit over his cars getting repoed has really made Vincent appear to get extremely desperate, because he has really ramped up his content output and has been doing anything for attention. And in our last video, we saw him starting one brand new activity, which was him basically sitting there and ranting about different activities like making your bed or watching TV, and basically just calling them gay after going on weird, obsessively long tangents that just don't even make sense half the time. And since our last video, this has been a trend that good old Pubes Watson has been continuing to try to do. But at this point, he's been running out of shit to call gay, and we have basically seen him just getting more desperate for ideas, where he's now just trying to shit talk things like fantasy football, while at the same time saying some of the gayest shit I've ever heard in my life.
I mean, listen, if you are a heterosexual being, okay, and you're sitting here playing fantasy football, you're gay. I think the name speaks for itself there. For you to be sitting here fantasizing about another male's physical performance is asinine. And then to even put together a super team of the biggest, strongest, sweatiest males you could find, almost about to bust in your pants, hoping they dominate other males is crazy. You're sitting here bouncing up and down, cheerleading another man's performance and not your own. You need to lock in.
And when he hasn't been sitting there talking about some of his deepest, darkest fantasies about watching men dominate other men, he's also been going after saying good morning or hi or hey, and apparently in his book, you can't even say either of them, because if you do so, then you're just being a homosexual.
Man, listen, as an adult male, to wish another full-grown man a good night is gay. It's that simple. It's gay, he knows it's gay, you're both ignoring the fact that it's gay. It's just one of those gray areas, that I personally don't, step into. Any full-grown man knows that, you could say rest up, G, or, I'll catch you tomorrow. But for you to just wish me a good night over text, it's like, what's next? I love you. And it's like, what do you even do at night anyway? You take a nice warm shower and, you put your pajamas on and you get cozy in bed. It's like, why are you wishing me a good time doing that? I mean, listen, to be a full-grown adult male and send another male an opening text like, hey, or yo, with no direct motive is gay. Because it's like, I'm on back-to-back meetings, I'm working, I'm getting shit done, I see your text, ding, hey. Now I gotta guess what you want. Hey, what's going on, bro? Hey, Vince, was just checking in on you, G. Hey, what's going on, bro? Hey, can I give you a call, bro? What the fuck do you want? Are we making money together or not? But for you to just be here indirect and pussyfooting and warming and lubing the conversation up is ridiculous to me. Get to the fucking point, man.
And all of these different just topics and subjects have just been ridiculous in general, because he's constantly just saying shit that we all know isn't true, like him working when in reality all he does all day is sit on his phone, and talk about how doing normal things like making your bed and working is just gay while he's sitting in his rented penthouse. But the best part about all of this is the fact that it ended up backfiring on him, because since he was opening up to all of these different comments, it just ended up turning into him getting absolutely flamed by people. And of course, since it's Pubes Watson we're talking about here, who has a very fragile ego, he naturally responded to these different comments. And of course, he was just salty as shit about a lot of them. And one of the first comments that he decided to respond to was someone making fun of his goofy ass bowl cut perm that he decided to get as a haircut. And good old Vincent just had to respond to it immediately.
Man, listen, man, as an adult male, to not be able to tell whether somebody's half black or not is questionable. It really is. But, for me, I know I'm more so half black from the waist down. So we'll let that one slide. But, as an adult male, or to even call yourself, a man, and worry about what another man does with his hair is crazy. You're sitting here telling me, well, Vince, your hair's curly, you must get it done. Well, Vince, your hair looks like this or that. Your beard hair looks different than your normal hair. Big dog, what hair do you want to see next? My pubic hair? That's gay.
Well, Vince, I gotta say, even though I don't want to know, it already looks like we have a pretty good idea on what your pubic hair would look like, since you decided to put that shit on your head. And I don't know why he decided to bring up the half black thing or anything like that, because it's not the fact that you just have a perm, Vince, it's the fact that you turned a bowl cut into a fucking perm. Like, if you had a fade into the perm, or any other type of perm, you wouldn't get clowned nearly as much. But you decided to combine two goofy-ass haircuts that shouldn't be combined, and it just ended up looking like a pile of pubes. Like, it's just the truth, man. And then when you pair that with the dry-ass beard, you just have a combo that leads to nothing but failure. But after responding to this, he then got some other comments, with one basically making fun of him for what he does all day, which is sit online and try to be a life coach, when in reality, he's just some goober who's getting his cars repossessed and can't even handle his own business. And it just led to him then going on another rant after, where he talks about how instead of just calling things gay, he could be gambling or promoting OnlyFans, and just tries to defend all of his bullshit.
Man, listen, man, I'd have to agree to disagree on this point. I think the most masculine thing that you can do and the highest thing in the form of God's eyes is, get on the camera, drop words of wisdom, and attempt to make men's lives better every day. I think on the flip side of that, the gayest thing you could do, if you even consider yourself to be a man, is not actually have any real impact, not actually make the world a better place, but instead be a faceless account hating. I think that's pathetic. Especially if you have a theme page. Number one, as an adult male, to have a theme page is questionable. And then number two, to have 200 other men on that theme page that are more successful than you and to circle jerk them in rotation is beyond me. Let's lock in and focus. Oh, Vince, I used to respect you, Vince, but you made a joke about buying your girlfriend a 3 years tits, Vince. Vince, I don't respect you anymore. Out of all the things you could promote to us, like gambling, OnlyFans, and make millions overnight, you choose to call us gay and tell us to self-improve. But that one right there did it. I don't respect you anymore, Vince. Just stop being gay, The unfollow button's right there. Stop being a pussy, man.
And he may not be out here promoting gambling or OnlyFans or any of that bullshit, but that does not justify him trying to sell his horseshit life courses, where it appears that he is just basically out here actively scamming people and making them these promises of being rich, when his strategy for doing so is just sitting online and calling things gay all day, and then getting mad when someone else makes fun of you. And after this, I guess Vincent wasn't too much of a fan of people just flaming the shit out of him or calling him out for his horse shit, because the next time he came around and did his whole little routine, he basically only used comments that either had to be from glazers or people that he got to pay for his courses and have become his little minions, and all of them just happened to talk about either hating on other men, calling things a scam, or asking your wife before spending a shit ton of money on a Vincent Fischer course.
Listen, to be a full-grown adult male and spend half your day with another man's cock lodged in your throat who's more successful than you is gay. Well, Vince, I don't like this dude, and that dude's not actually as successful as he says. It's like, big dog, you are broke. You are gay. It's just like, what are you building in your life? Well, Vince, I'm beefing with this one guy. It's like, that nigga does not know you. Let's focus on what you're building so you don't feel the need to hate. I mean, listen, to be a full-grown adult male and not do something then call it a scam is gay. Because you're bitching online, you come to me 3 months later, Vince, it didn't work for me, what can we do? I'm like, big dog, I don't see a post in sight. Nothing works unless you work. What'd you implement? Well, Vince, I posted once, then I took it down. I didn't like the way I looked, and I didn't know what my friends were going to think. It's like, big dog, you're back and forth deciding your sexuality because you're gay. Less overthinking, more action. This is your problem. You value the opinions of your broke friends over your own success. You're sitting there circle jerking each other. Bro, the online thing doesn't work. Bro, the online thing doesn't work. And you're all broke. Not taking action. It's like, let's lock in. If you went to the store and bought a yo-yo and you played with it one time and then put it down and never picked it back up, is the yo-yo a scammer? You're just a dumbass. Lock in. Man, listen, if we partake in a sales call, and I walk you through what it'd be and I say, listen, it's 10K. And you go, Vince, 1 second, I have to ask my wife for permission. I'm going to say, excuse me? Vince, I just like to double check. It's like, do you wear the pants or does she? Because I'm sure she wears the strap on too, because you take it up the ass because you're gay. This is why we're broke in the first place. It's like, do we want to stay in the same spot and ask our own girl whether we can spend our own money to level up our lives or fucking stay broke? It sounds like you want to be a broke bitch. Well, Vince, I'm just a little bit nervous. It's like, big dog, are you right-handed, left-handed? Which one is it? Okay, right-handed. Take your right hand, place it under your balls to make sure they're still there. Squeeze them a little bit to check if you're alive and fucking make the payment.
And the best part about this is the fact that you can just tell that he's salty as shit still. And he's still pretty annoyed because he's constantly throwing in those little comments, like the whole strap-on comment or the whole another man's dick in your throat, where he's just trying to make other people mad because he's pissed off. And as you can kind of see at those last two, he started basically bringing his plan all together with this whole little calling everything gay thing, because in reality, it was just a way for him to start getting people to sign up to his courses. And he just intensified this, where he's making these different talking points that he would basically use if he was trying to get someone to sign up today. And he continued to do this, where he featured ones saying not to take advice from broke people, with those broke people just being people who don't want to pay for his bullshit, and even not taking advice from your parents, because usually they would tell you not to trust a guy who is covered in pubes and wants you to sign up for a life course when he has absolutely no life experience whatsoever.
I mean, listen, to be a full-grown adult male and actually sit there and take advice from anybody who doesn't live the life you want is gay. Because you're sitting here going, well, Vince, my friends told me the online thing doesn't work. It's like, big dog, your friends make $9 an hour working at Publix. And the rest of the day, they're playing video games and jacking off. What do you think they're going to tell you? They became millionaires from it? No, they're broke. It's like, as a man, would you take fitness advice from somebody who's 200 pounds overweight? Would you take relationship advice from somebody who can't find a partner to save their lives? It's like, as a man, you should only be listening to people that have the results you want. You're sitting here listening to everybody wondering why you're stuck. I mean, listen, to be a full-grown adult male thinking that you're going to get rich by listening to your parents when your parents aren't rich is gay. You're sitting here telling me, well, Vince, I really want to be a millionaire in my 20s, bro, but, my mom thinks I need to go to school the next 10 years. It's like, bro, your mom is a chiropractor. How are you going to become a millionaire in your 20s listening to chiropractic advice? Well, Vince, I really want to do this, bro, but, my dad thinks I need to go to trade school. Bro, your dad is a plumber. It's like, how do you want to be a millionaire listening to plumbing advice? It's not that they don't love you. It's not that they don't want the best for you. But if their own advice hasn't gotten them rich, then why the fuck do you think it's going to get you rich? Most people are chained to poverty by inherited beliefs. And if you want to be the black sheep, if you want to be the one that changes everything, you have to go against the grain. But for you to be sitting here on the grain looking like a white fluffy sheep claiming you want it is crazy.
And then he naturally decided to follow these up almost every time with this little thing promoting his 10-minute training, which the 10-minute training is just him glazing himself for a solid 8 minutes, and then the other 2 minutes are testimonials that have been the same testimonials he's been using for years, without really any new ones ever appearing. And it kind of shows you his plan, which is just to get attention by calling shit gay, and then throwing this course in your face and saying, here, buy it, and you can also sit in a penthouse and call people gay.
I mean, listen, to be a full-grown adult male doom-scrolling social media all day and not using it as a tool to get paid is gay. Because you're sitting here all stimulated and pleasured going, and you're not monetizing in the literal digital gold rush era. wondering why you're broke. Especially if you follow Vincent Fischer. It's like, big dog, how have you not watched my 10-minute training yet that's created literal millionaires? Taking people from complete beginners working 9 to 5 to making 5 to 10,000 a month in under 30 days. You know, the link is right there. Click it and lock in. But for you to be so addicted that you're going to scroll to the next reel or story like that's going to make you rich is beyond me. You know, you want to get rich or you want to stay broke. Lock in.
And just like usual, it's all just a fucking grift with this guy, where he's doing anything and everything to pay the bills, and we all know he needs to, considering that he's got to pay the bills on his cars that got taken, and he's got to pay the bill on that rent on that penthouse that's due every month. And I have a feeling he's going to continue to grow more desperate as the lawsuit kind of proceeds to continue, and as he continues to need more money, since it looks like he's running out of it. But with that said, that's enough of this clown for one day, so if you enjoyed, please drop the sub and the like, and join the Saints Mafia where we are flaming all of these grifting dipshits. And I'm out, watching Pubes Watson continue to call things gay while looking gay himself. In peace.
I mean, listen, if you go to a chiropractor, you're gay. You know, it's as simple as that. Because as an adult male, you know, number one, to even have back pain is questionable. Because, you know, where'd that start? And then number two, to go to see another male to break your back into places is beyond me. You know, let's just think about what you're really doing. You know, you meet a male that you like. You know, you shake his hand. You have a nice little conversation. He lays you down face first, feels you all over. You know, just squeezes your different muscles and body parts. And, you know, how does this feel? How does this feel? Good, daddy. It's like, big dog, what the fuck are you doing?